Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Now after seeing all the videos from the arrays playlist, now it's time to solve some of the coding questions based on the concepts that we have learned in that playlist. So let's have a look at the first problem. So the problem says given an unsorted array of size n, now that array contains both negative and positive integers. The task is to place all the negative elements at the end of the array without changing the order of the positive element and the negative element. So you can see that the array is given to us which is unsorted, and we need to separate the negative element with the positive elements. So you can see that for the given input, the output is first all the positive elements are placed but with the same order, and after that the negative elements are placed. So let's understand this with the help of an array example. So here we have defined a variable AR. Now the array contains 4 elements, -4, -3, 3 and then -2. So let's place this inside the array. So here it will be like this. Now our array has got formed, and I hope you remember that array index starts from 0. So it will be 0, 1, 2 and 3. So the indices will range from 0 to 3. Now the problem says that we need to segregate positives and negatives. So let's have the approach 1 to solve this. So let's say first we will try to iterate over the array, and then we will remove the negative elements from the array. So whenever we come across any negative element, we will just remove that, and then after removing we will append it at the end of the array. So this will result into the segregation of all positive elements at the left and then all the negative elements at the right. So let's try to visualize this. So first element is -4. So if we remove -4, now we will append it at the last. So you can see that the new indices will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, -4. Now you can see that the index 0 has already got iterated, and therefore now it's time for the iteration over index 1. But you can see that as per the old indices, -3 was at index 1, but now -3 is at index 0. So in the next iteration the control will go to the index 1. But if the control goes at index 1, you can see that at index 1 the element 3 is located, but if the control directly goes to this particular element 3, the element -3 is getting ignored, and even if it is negative, it is not getting removed and appended at the last. So you can see that this particular approach is not giving us the actual expected result. And also you can see that the order is also getting changed. You can see if the control goes to -2, it will get removed and it will get appended at the last. So earlier the order was something like this: -4, -3, -2, but now the order is completely changed, which is -3, -4, -2. So this particular approach is not at all accepted. So finally we will be remaining with this particular array: -3, 3, -4, -2. So after analyzing this particular approach, we can say that we will reject this particular approach because of the following reasons. So the first reason is the order is getting changed, and the next reason is that the expected result should contain all the negatives to the right of the array and all the positives to the left of the array. But after using this particular approach, not all negatives are getting at the end of the array. So the entire problem statement is not getting satisfied. All the rules are getting violated. So now after visualizing this, let's try to code this particular approach and see whether we are getting the same results or not. So here we are going to define an array and we are going to store it in the variable ARR. Here we are taking the same example. Now we will try to iterate over the array with the help of the for loop, and we will check whether the current element is less than 0, which is nothing but if the current element is negative, we will try to remove it with the help of the .remove function, and after removing that we will try to append it at the end of the array. If you remember, the append function will try to append the element at the end of the array. Now if we try to print the array, we are getting the same result that we visualized earlier. So you can see that this particular approach is not at all accepted. We have proved it by coding also. So now can you think of some other approach? Pause the video and comment your answer if you are thinking of any other approach and which is actually acceptable. So let's come back and see another approach. So here we are trying to take the same example of the array which contains the element -4, -3, 3 and -2. So according to this approach, we will first try to append all the negatives from this particular original array in one list. So we will try to iterate over the array, and wherever we encounter any negative element, we will try to append that element in the list of negatives. And similarly, whenever we encounter any element which is positive, we will try to append it in the list of positive elements. After that, once the entire iteration is done, we will try to concatenate these two lists. First we will try to take positives followed by the negatives, and finally we will get the array. So does this works? Let's try to visualize it. So let's take the same example, -4, -3, 3, -2. Now according to the algorithm, we will first try to iterate over the array. So first create an empty list which will contain all the positive elements from the array. So if we try to iterate, at index 2 we are getting a positive element which is 3. So we are done with the list of positives. Now we will try to append all the negative elements in the list of negatives. So we can see that -4, -3 and -2 are negative elements, and we have got both the lists. Now it's time to concatenate these two. Note the order, that first the list should contain positives and then it should contain negatives. So you can see once we concatenate both the list, we are getting this particular result, which is all the positive elements at the left of the array and all the negative elements at the right of the array. Also you can see that the order is not getting changed. So let's try to code this and check whether we are getting the same output. So here we have the same list and we are going to iterate over this particular array. Before that, we will try to make two empty lists. First will contain the positive elements and second will contain the negative elements. So once we try to iterate over the list, we will check whether the current element is greater than 0, which means if it is positive, we are going to append it in the list of positives, which is POS. And if it is not, then we will try to append it in the list of negatives. So once we are done with this, we will try to now concatenate the list of positives and negatives. So that can be done with the help of the add operator, which will try to concatenate the list, and the result will be stored in the ARR variable itself. So you can see that we are getting the same result that we visualized earlier. So here you can notice that the order is also not getting changed, and also all the positives are at the left and the negatives are at the right. If we try to change the input, and this time we are taking a longer array, so you can see the output is according to the rules that were defined in the problem statement. Also you can see we have only used a single for loop, hence the complexity is not that big. Now one thing you can notice, that the output is not in the form of list, it is in the form of a space separated string. So how we can do that? Let's see. So let's come back to the code, and here we can do one thing, that we can use the .join function, and inside that we can pass the ARR variable, but you can see there is an error that the expected should be string but integer values were given. So if you can notice, in the input we have given the array in the form of array of integers. So we can do one thing, that while separating the negatives and the positives in the separate list, at that time only we can convert the current elements type in the form of string, which can be done with the help of str function. So now you can see that after converting the elements in the string type, we are getting the desired output. Now all the rules are getting satisfied. Also the output is in the form of the structure that was defined in the problem statement itself. I hope you like this. If you have got any doubts, you can comment it in the comment section. If you have any suggestions, you can also put that. If you want more such videos, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Also hit the bell icon and follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching.